What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Glad to be back. Good to see everybody. Give it a minute, let everybody join. And then we'll talk about what's been going on. I finally got back. Ready to get going. So I'll give a little recap. What's going on? How I've been doing. I know I've been off, I think, for the past, 4 or 5 days. So I'll recap on that. I'll recap on a hat lot I just got. Huge box of hats. We're going to go through those. We're going to talk about seasonality. So when your seasons change, how do you change the way you source and the way you list? And then I'll go through the hats and we'll talk about what I picked up and what I did. So let's use in the chat. Fat Man, how's it going? Fat Man the Flipper. He puts out content. Give him a follow. Pat D's as well. Borderline Hoarderish. How's it going? I know you said it. People always have, I always have trouble saying your name. Hard Addiction Flipper, what's going on? Source from Paradise. Red Neckersons, what's up? Blue Raspberry Ice Cream, awesome. Donna, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, guys, I have missed you guys. I did take some videos. So for those of you that follow Instagram or do not follow Instagram, I posted, I was in Austin, Texas for the past, what was it, 4 days, 4 or 5 days? I probably picked up, I think I spent $500 to $600, maybe $500 on thrifted stuff. So I got that picked up. Now I'm gonna get that stuff listed. And now I'm back. I worked on some wholesale purchases or closeouts, which I'm gonna show you here. I do have another box coming in. So when I say $5 grand MSRP, this is in addition to a box I'm probably gonna get Monday or Tuesday, but it's gonna be a smaller box. So there's probably 120 items in this box and then probably 50 in the next one. Hey mom, what's up? Mary has junior prom this weekend. Is there proms going on all over? Rebecca, how's it going? So as always, guys in the chat, I want to hear how your sales are going. Sales have been awesome today. I sent out a lot of hats before I left. Excuse me. So I sent a lot of hats to Amazon. They started hitting the warehouse probably Tuesday, Wednesday. And I think I had six sales today on Amazon for $300, which has been awesome. So if you're not using Amazon, definitely use them. But I think I had 3 merchant fulfilled and 3 were FBA. Donna had 7 all on eBay. Nice, 2 hours. So Donna, I'm interested. Was that after a certain time period? So for example, I find after 3 or 5 p.m. a lot of my sales start rolling in. Hard Dicks Flipper is 8. Nice. Tried to list some today. So I was going through and getting my eBay stuff listed. I am going to try to hit the bins tomorrow and get some more books. I've been trying to grow my FBA shipments, trying to get those up. I did get a lot of 50 hats that I didn't show you. It's the same Dale Earnhardt Senior hats that I got. Those I'm currently merchant fulfilling Amazon and obviously on eBay, but I'm finding that they sell pretty well on eBay. So what I'm going to do is out of the 50, I'm probably going to hold back probably 10 for eBay, maybe half, maybe 25, and I'll ship the rest into FBA. And then what I'll do is I'll continuously supply FBA once my quantities get lower. Kristen Crawford, how's it going? Bought your first pallet. Awesome. Monitors? Baby monitors or computer monitors? Source in Paradise to just don't get Poshmark. Sick and tired of sharing, following. See, I don't share or follow. Nothing. I just list. I list something every day. I don't know if that's the key to it. Also, since I put on vacation mode, I have not had a sale yet. So I don't know if vacation mode did it. But I did list and I think I try to list at least one thing every day on Poshmark. But Poshmark is continuously listing. That's the only thing I do. And I was getting consistent sales on Poshmark until I had to go to Texas. But Kristen Crawford, computer scratch and dent. So Kristen, if you're not part of the Facebook group or if you don't follow me on Instagram, head over there under the same name or the Facebook group. Would love to see you over there if you want. It'd be nice to show some pictures of what you get. We all like to see what we buy and get an idea of what to expect if you're buying liquidation or thrifting or you're buying jerseys or polos. But I always love to see what you guys get. Pat Dees is listening in the background, bouncing back in chat. Nice. I don't share or list and still get sales. Yeah, that's right, Donna. Don't share or list. Don't go with the crowd. Just let it ride and you'll get some sales. So preparing your e-commerce store for the seasonality, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I list coats in the summer and shorts in the winter because it's always hot or cold in some area of the country. You'll always get those sales. So that's out of scope, right? The onesie twosie items, the good brands that you pick up at the thrift stores. You know, the Columbias, the Tommy Bahamas, those things, the one-off things that I buy continuously, I list those no matter the season across all platforms, eBay, Amazon, Poshmark. I list those all the time. But this is what I'm talking in terms of bulk buys. So looking at, for example, I have an opportunity to buy youth sweatshirts. Now, let alone youth sweatshirts are probably tough to move, but I probably can get them at a great price. But given we're going into summer, I don't want to tie that capital up into sweatshirts, especially over 500 of them in a single team. I'm probably going to wait on those. Now, if they're available once fall comes around, I'll probably buy them. But that sort of thing you got to look at if you're going to go at bulk buys. And why I bought this lot was because NFL season's coming up. And you'll see once I open this box why I bought them. I'm trying to grow my store right now. I stick to the sports stuff, at least for clothing. If I'm going to bulk buy, I stick to, okay, what season of sports is coming up and what season's closing out, what teams do well, what teams have a large fan base. So I'm trying to look at that to determine what to buy. But right now I'm trying to buy all NFL. And if I have a chance to buy hockey, it's got to come in quick and I got to move it quick because season's almost over. Yeah, so sidebar, Pat D's in the chat, Pat D72, make sure you give him a follow. I am on his channel Sunday evening. Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, throw your channel up in the chat. I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern, is that right? But yeah. And I wanted to comment on Kristen. Kristen, yeah, don't be nervous about your scratch and dent. I'm sure you'll do fine. If they're big items, list them locally at minimum. So if you have the big stuff, put them on eBay and just watch for shipping. But start looking at your local deals. And that's where we talk about seasonality, local stuff. If you're going to buy larger quantities, I start calling the stores around me. I bought a ton of Crew soccer shorts. I got them at a good price. I start calling the local soccer stores and say, hey, you know, and obviously I put a little margin on for myself. Hey, are you interested in buying this? What's your buy price? What do you want to do? I have 100 pairs. Now, if I can get a buyer at that scale, then I can get a ton in and move a ton. Now, for the sweatshirts, I tried to sell those locally as well, but the price point wasn't what the store was looking for just because it was like a Plato's Closet type store. But I did not, that's why I didn't touch the sweatshirts, just because I would only touch them if I could sell them in bulk at this time of year. If they're around end of summer, I'll probably pick them up. For those selling as merchant fulfilled on Amazon, how long was it before you got a sale? I don't know how long mine was. I think it also depends on what you're selling on there as well. Now, I had my hockey jerseys up there. I finally started getting some solds on them today and yesterday. And I don't know, that's just because their series is ending here. But yeah. Outdoor Girl, do you buy any baseball right now? That's another thing to look at. Yes, I do. So of my suppliers, I start asking of baseball things, what do they have? But currently they don't have the stuff I'm looking for in baseball. It's I like Majestic. What else do they have? Nike. They don't have the brands I like. They have the kind of the generic MLB merchandise. So I haven't touched any of what they have. Now, another thing to do when you're looking at seasonality, if you're dealing in the larger buys, is if you're buying off season, ask for a discount. I did ask on the sweatshirts for the hockey sweatshirts, the kids sweatshirts, if I could do a deal. I said, "Hey, would you be willing to go a little lower?" He didn't budge. But don't be afraid to ask for a discount if you're going to buy in bulk out of season. Hey, Mike, what's going on? How you doing? All right, let's. But otherwise, yeah, seasonality. Think about seasonality as you're doing bulk buys and you're buying multiples of things. Uh, and I say multiples, I'm talking more than 10. And whatever your capital threshold is. So if I'm going to drop 5 grand on something, it's got to be in season, or I got to be able to move it fast. But if I'm buying 10 units of something, I'll probably buy 10 units of it and let it sit. But that's seasonality, and just give it a thought as you're looking at items. And 2 things again to think about is you think about when is that whatever you're buying, when is that item hot, and when's it in season when it's not, and how much capital can you tie up in it. So think about that as you're doing it. Right now, as Outdoor Girl posted, baseball and football are my things right now. So whenever I find any of those, I'm going to buy those up. But again, I look at if it sells. So it could be great baseball stuff, and if it's not moving, I'm not going to touch it. So no, Mike, I wouldn't drop 5 grand on that. I'm just saying, as a capital investment, you got to look at, okay, how much capital can you tie up? So let's get into this box. I'll show you what I got. It is pretty big. Let me remove this. I think this one has 139 pieces. I already took the invoice off. Let me get this. 139 pieces in here. And I'll talk through why I did it. And I think this should be 1 or 2 teams. And multiples. There are large multiples in this box, which is awesome. My Browns hats. I bought my Browns hats a while ago. I think back in when it was ending, when the NFL season was ending, they had a buy. I picked up Browns hats because Browns stuff's pretty good. Those hats have been selling like crazy now. I sold out of all the original snapbacks, so those are gone. So think about teams, and if you don't know your teams, go research the teams. Go research fan bases of the teams. You can do a little research and understand the fan base, not only on eBay, but just on Google. If you find a lot of product, that's something to look for. Look at the fan base. If you have a large fan base, that will do favor in your benefit. So here we go. Let's see if I can tilt this over. All right. So there we go. And again, they look to be pretty much the same team. If you look up some of these, they do pretty well. Now, he being my supplier, did not have any pictures. So what I did is I requested pictures. I don't know. I'll get back down here. So a lot of people, it seems like, will buy from these lists without looking at what the brand is or what the logo looks like. Now, that's, for me personally, that's a bad thing to do. If you're going to buy sports stuff, you want to know what the logo looks like, how big it is, what colors they are, if they have tags, and what sizes. So I had him send me pictures of each ones that he had, and I'll show you the team that I picked. Here's one of the teams that I picked up. Pat D's, no, I do not do Tough Mudder, but I found this at the bins brand new with tags, and I kept it. I like Under Armour stuff, so I kept it, did not list it. Flippin' Sister, how's it going? Good to see you. Missed you on the show, on Pat D's show, or not Pat D's, Flippin' Particles show on D's channel. No, yeah, Borderline. Yeah, I did not. All right, so here's the ones I bought. Raiders. Raiders are their fan base is pretty good. They tend to buy a lot of things. If you look on sold on eBay, snapbacks do really well, at least at this brand. If you can find this hat on there, If you buy hats, be very careful if you're buying fitted versus adjustable. If you're fitted, the fitted wool ones are probably harder to sell, in my opinion, than your adjustables, just because you'll have more of a hit rate with the adjustables. But you can see I probably have, these are all the same brand. I'll have to open these up. So there, those are all the same hat, which is this one does well. Retails for 30 bucks. So there's the $30 price tag, and I think I have, I'll start taking these out. There's one bag there. Some more, all the same. Now, again, ask for pictures of your logos. If you're going to buy a single brand, I bought, was it San Diego Chargers? It was a weird logo. I figured the team would do really well. It didn't. I'm sitting on 45 of them. That was, I want to say, a bad buy. I'm probably just going to recoup my cost on those, but I'm sitting on 45 of them. That's an example of when the logo does not do the hat justice. So there we go. There's more, same brand. Mary McQueen, raising hand, Raiders fan. Yeah, so Raiders stuff. Raiders have a large fan base, and I believe they're moving to Vegas. Don't quote me when they're doing it, but look at the old school teams. If the team is moving, if the team's changing logos, colors, going defunct. For example, Minnesota North Stars for hockey. I picked that stuff up. So there's different ways to look at certain things, or they're either fan base or vintage stuff. Pat D's, any Eagles? No, not at the moment. Let me check my spreadsheet. But again, Eagles, another fan base that's pretty large. So, I mean, you got to look at those things, and I can call it other teams that I might think might have a small fan base, and someone might argue with me. But that's my opinion of fan bases. And like Patriots, you can find. I can never find Patriot stuff, at least in closeouts. So certain things like that. Brown stuff, I know I mentioned it earlier, but brown stuff, if you can find bulk of it, depending on what it looks like, that stuff is awesome. Not that I'm just a Browns fan, but Chiefs, Pat D's, I do have, so there's an example. I have access to Chiefs zip-ups, but I think they're like $30 a piece. There's not enough margin on it for me to touch them because they only sell for about 50. After fees and all that, you have your capital tied up in what, $10 profit, $10 to $15 potentially, but you might sit on that for a bit. Seems when I sell a sports team item, it goes to a city where it comes from. Yes, that's another, Joey, that's a great point. When you buy sports teams, potentially I'm going to give it a number. 90% of the time, you're probably going to be shipping that back to where the team is. So, for example, I bought a lot of San Jose jerseys. A lot of my margin was eaten up in the shipping fees going back to California. So keep that in mind. Depending on how big your items are, hats can go first class. Usually those are no issue. But now that they have the zone-based pricing, it might be 50 cents to $1 more. But these are probably all going to go back to California. So, Joey, that's a great point. I bleed blue and orange. Broncos all the way. Broncos, that's another one. There you go. All right, so it looks like they're most of these same. There's a couple others in here. Okay, these same. All right, there's another bag. What else? All right, here's the last bag. There's the one. There's the last bag right there. So. Man, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bags of those hats, which I love that because I can take one picture for a quantity of what, 50, 60, and I could just let it sit. My Browns hats sit like that, and they sell consistently. Now the only crappy part is once they sell out, I'm done, unless I find another source with that same type of hat. All right, here's the other model. This one is really cool. If you happen to search for this model, I say model like it's a car, but if you search for this model, this one sells quite well. It's Raiders again, but I'll show you this. Retail on that's 35. I think I saw these being listed for about 43. I'll probably put it up for 43 with best offer, but the logo is really cool on this one. Super Bowl champions Raiders. It is a snapback. It's got the AFC logo on it, as well as Super Bowl on the side. These are really cool. So I probably have 3 bags of those. There's more there. Look at that. And what's nice about hats is in these bags, I could just leave them. I kind of sort them in the box. I leave them in the box. I pick them right from the box. If you happen to get a buy like this, they're pretty easy to store, pretty easy to inventory. But the only issue is counting your inventory. As you get lower in a size or a style, and if you cross post, you want to make sure your inventory is on point, because if you have 5 left or 3 left and you have 3 across 3 different platforms, you don't want to sell 2 on one, 2 on one, and 2 on the other. So just be careful as you get lower. You might want to limit how much you put across multiple platforms. Anita Finita, how's it going? Good to see you. Those are the best kind of listings. 1 listing, but ton of quantity. Yes. So as I've progressed down this reselling journey, I've really tried to focus more on quantity where I can, because that's kind of a nice filler for all the thrifted stuff that takes a little while to sell. The deep SKU stuff is really helping a lot. So if you can get deep in an item, whatever you can go up to, that'd be awesome. Blackberry Thistle, Bengals fan. See, Bengals stuff is hard for me to buy. I would not go deep in Bengals. That's just me, and I live in Ohio, but I find my Bengals stuff is harder to move. All right, so there's another one here. I have 1 more style left. So there's another bag. Got 3 of those. And what's interesting is I see those selling for more than the sticker price. All right, this is the last one I purchased. And I talk about vintage logos. Oh, this is still unopened. Is this? So the other ones these are a little bit of more that I'm getting on Monday, but I'm guessing they couldn't find them in their warehouse. And these look to be polybag, at least the first couple. Here, let me open this one. All right, these are the vintage style logo I talked about. It's now a defunct team. There was a hat I did not jump on. For those of you that didn't hear the story, I found this really cool hat of a defunct team that I'm going to show you. And I went up to the booth, and the guy said they already sold the day before the show started. They were the buy price on those, I think, was $9 or $10. They are selling for, I think it was $35 on eBay. So it was quite a nice profit, and I missed out on it. But look at these. These are really cool. Houston Oilers. Awesome hat. Again, snapback. All wool. Adjustable. And they say 28. So I will probably list it for 28. I got to look for comps. The older style brands, if there's a couple up there with that price, I'll leave it up like that. But some of them, even though they have price tags on it, they do list them for higher. So I will probably list it for 28. I'll list it for 28 flat. And then what I do is I take my 5%. My whole store is 5% off. I think that the people like seeing the 5% off, as well as it probably helps with your search, but don't quote me on that, with your the way you appear in search, and at least on eBay. I am gated on Mitchell & Ness. I've asked the supplier to be ungated. The supplier did not allow me, or where they bought it from does not want them to go on Amazon. So I cannot put them on Amazon. But yeah, vintage sports teams, especially if you find the one-off jerseys. And I don't know if Derek, NASCAR man's in the chat, but he found an old, it was a Mitchell & Ness Johnny Unitas football jersey. I think he sold it for about $50. So keep your eyes out for the old Hall of Famers, the old sports teams, the defunct sports teams, the old style player jerseys, and they do pretty well. At least double check your comps as well. But if it looks vintage and it looks old, I don't think you shouldn't go wrong with sports stuff. So colors, yeah, Kim, colors definitely do well. A nice blend of colors like that red and blue, I shouldn't have a problem with that. But I did go deep on them, as you saw. So I think I have 60 of that one hat, but we'll see how it does. The last thing is look at comps. Comps on those hats were really deep. They were for what, the last 60 days. There was a ton of them. Now some of the hats I look up, like the bucket hats, you know, the rainwear, the bucket hats go all the way around. They do make sports teams in the bucket hats, but those don't do well, at least from what I've seen. You look those up. There's probably 3 sold in the last 3 days, or last 60 days. So that's probably something you don't want to buy a large ton of because you're going to tie your capital up in that. But that's the way I look at going deep on something. If it's moving and if it's a good team, you shouldn't have a problem. And if when in doubt, mark it down to make a couple dollars profit, get your money back, and buy another team. But I've never had an issue moving teams. That's what I look for. So pay attention to the seasonality. Red Nickerson look for WWF clothing. Oh, nice. In WCW, but not WWE. I did pick up a WWF crew. It was a crew shirt. I think is it upstairs? So on that point, I will show you everything I purchased from Austin. I just don't have it on me at the moment. Once I get it back, we'll have a show, and I'll have a whole Austin thrifting show. I'll show you where I went, and I'll show you what I picked up. Last thing before we close out the show, the code. The person who won the code the last month did not want it. So what we'll do is tomorrow we'll do an announcement tomorrow on the show, and then you'll comment on that video, and then we'll do another poll probably Sunday evening. So stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching. Hopefully you have a good Friday evening. Get back to listing, get back in the grind, and make some sales happen. We'll talk to you later. See ya.